Yeah, let's go with that. Let's get to the Chooks, 26, beating the Seagulls 12 in a very, very average performance again from Manly. And eventually a thundering and raining SCG. Barney, what did the stats say?
I was surprised Manly got 12 points. They didn't look like they deserved a point in this game. But it was 5 tries to 2. 3 out of 5 conversions, played 2 out of 2 for Manly. 73% completion, played 81% for Manly. 34 out of 46 sets, played 31 out of 38. 6 line breaks to 3. 32 tackle busts, played 33. 9 offloads to 7. 5 forced dropouts by the Roosters, 2 by Manly. And a 40-20 to the Roosters. 299 tackles, played 331. 2 ruck infringements from both teams, 7 penalties conceded by the Roosters, 5 conceded by Manly, 15 errors by the Roosters and 9 by Manly. Crichton with 34 tackles, Jake Turbo with 45, Takiaho with 238 running metres, and Tom Trbojevic with 148. Walker made 18 tackles and missed 8. Crocker made 43 tackles and missed 4, and Davey off the bench made 9 tackles and missed 3.
So last Wednesday, I asked why Takiaho wasn't starting prop for them. They did, and he was absolutely outstanding. That was as good a prop performance I've seen from a starting prop since, what was it, Mo Fotuaika, round 20 last year. He was outstanding. He owned the Manly pack. Admittedly, it's only the Manly pack he had to own.
He almost did it single-handedly as well.
He was incredible. He set up the base, and he made the halves look good, and he made the other forwards look good. As a result, Tupanua looked sensational. He had spiders on him, to use one of your lines, Barn. Every time he got the ball in space, they didn't want to tackle him, or he was able to just offload and go around him. But we talked about the Roosters probably having a trial game last week. This was not a trial game. Thought those two paved the way and were sensational. We've still got more to come from their backline. Billy Smith and Manu haven't really been involved a lot. They play a lot to the right,
not at all,
which excludes Crichton. They've got Angus Crichton on one side that doesn't touch a ball. But Teddy had his hands on the ball a lot more, and I think they just got it right with Walker and Kiri this week. Kiri chimes in when he needs to, and Walker got to run the show, and that kid is a bit of a freak, let's be honest. So very impressed. Manly could have been beaten Zott if it didn't come through. You can't tell me Turbo's not injured, because even some of those grubbers that were going in the in-goal and stuff, usually Turbo's there chasing, and DC was leading the chase, doing all he could, and every time they cut to Tommy, he's limping. They seem to keep ignoring that fact, but I found very little upside from Manly, let's say, as I just look at my stats again. I think the stat was the 2 front rowers ran 7 meters each in the first half. So, wow. Talk about a breath effort.
Good luck getting on the front
off the
foot.
back of that was it. Young Baker was tremendous. Butcher was tremendous, but they all got to own what they got to own, and it was the right Roosters set up. We saw the real Roosters, really. Jumpy?
Yeah, I want to shout out there to Nat Butcher. He's one of the most underrated players in the game coming off the bench. Like, if they have the Dally M bench player like they have in the past, and Nat Butcher's got to be up there. Like, he gives you that spark every week off the bench. Most other teams he start in their team. He's a shout out to him. Sam Walker was really good. Luke Keary was good. Tedesco was good. Manly, I couldn't find too many positives. Jake Turbo gave his usual wholehearted effort, but the front rowers, look, Martin Tapau doesn't look interested to me.
He wants to be on a plane somewhere.
I think. I don't know that playing Toff Sipley in the front row sort of helps them. I'd stick with Paseka and Kepi as their front row rotation, and probably put Toff Sipley back to Blacktown Workers. I don't know that
he looks like he's a genuine Blacktown Workers player.
Yeah, I don't think that he's offering them enough. The hooker, I thought, was decent last year. Look, he was poor. I know he sort of tackled, but some of the service out of dummy half, he got a couple of passes that rolled along the ground, fell out of his hands and rolled along the ground. DCE tried really hard, but again, he had some ordinary passes. Their outside backs, unless Turbo is creating for them, then there's nothing there for Manly at the moment. But we did say this after 2 and 3 and 4 rounds last year, so I'm not going to pen them.
The difference was Turbo wasn't there.
Yeah, and Turbo's there this year, but I'm still not willing to pen them if things turn around for them in terms of Turbo and it hits their straps. You don't know if Des has got them going right now or whatever, but they're giving teams a start in terms of being 0-2. They probably think they'll win this week against the Bulldogs at home. If there's effort from the Bulldogs, I don't see Manly winning that by a huge thing. But
I don't see Manly winning at all.
I think I was right in my tip last week that I picked the Roosters 13 plus with my tip, and I was pretty confident that the Roosters would be the real Roosters this week, and I still think they've got a lot of room to improve on what they sort of did there against Manly. They've got some big improvement in them, and I don't know that a lot of other sides do.
Oh, you'd be pretty concerned if you're a Manly supporter, I think. Gump just sort of pick the eyes out of everything, realistically. Their outside backs don't seem to offer much, and their forwards are getting beaten up week after week at the moment. Doesn't matter how good you are, if you Tommy and you score 2 or 3 tries, even if he does get back to his best form, if those forwards aren't going forward, good luck trying to find the holes and that and the outsides to do your work. You could see the slow play the balls that they were getting. Tom tried to get involved in the middle, and he just got shut down straight away. He couldn't do anything. There was no time and space for anybody. Even DCE's kicking game was rushed, which caused problems in them getting down to the other end of the field. Roosters dominated this game. Probably should have won by another 15 or 20 points, realistically, at the end of this game. Like, Manly didn't look like trouble in the Roosters' defence for pretty much the entire night, whereas the Roosters just, if they weren't bending the line, they were breaking through it at least once a set and running amok through the middle of the field against Manly. You had Walker and Keary played in their right positions. I know Keary had the 7 on his back, but he was playing 6. And Walker was playing 7 with the 6 on his back. Walker just draws a little bit of extra defence when he's sort of running around in, stepping off the left, stepping off the right, and he drags a couple of people in. And it gives Keary that bit of extra time to put his back rowers away or pick up his centres and his they don't really pick up the centres, pick up Teddy and pick up his wingers to score points in the corner. So I'd be pretty concerned, as I mentioned, if I was a Manly supporter. The Roosters' back rowers were both good. Teddy was fantastic again. You mentioned Butcher and Takiaho. They were probably the best 2 players on the field. The only 2 that I'd mentioned from the Manly side were DCE and Olakau'atu. Realistically, I thought they were the only 2 that are worth mentioning out of Manly's effort on the weekend.
And this is the thing. You can talk about injuries and stuff for Manly, but realistically, they've only got Schuster coming back. He's not going to put him on his shoulders and change anything.
They make a bit of a difference in
another
attack.
Ball playing back rower, but he's not going to make another 200 yards a game.
He's not going to shut down the middle with defence.
Well, the game was definitely run through the middle. I mean, you look at the Roosters forwards, like each and every one of the starting forwards just ran over the top of them. Like, that's the easiest way to sum this game up. And we've spoken about in the past how Manly's forward pack can be very hit or miss, or at least they were last year, but showed some promise. I've not really seen much promise from their forward pack at all this season, which is a big worry. On Tom Trbojevic, though, I guess, my prediction was that he was going to drop off significantly against the big sides because they will have worked him out. That's been the case against Penrith and the Roosters. I'm glad, Gump, that you brought up their game coming up against the Bulldogs next week, because realistically, against a team like the Bulldogs, with all due respect, he should still be able to be back to his best and run amok. If he isn't, though, and let's just say he has another really poor performance against the Bulldogs, like, what happens from here? I'm not suggesting it. I'm not for it, at least definitely not now, but there's been people like Paul Kent in the paper suggesting that maybe he needs to move to the centres. Like, what happens if this isn't just can't perform against the best teams in the comp, which I think it is, but an actual significant drop-off for Tom Trbojevic, because, well, they've got no 4-pack, so what else does Manly have if not Tom Trbojevic? Like, what do you do? Let's just say in 5 weeks' time, it's consistently been the same performance from Tom Trbojevic. Where do you go? Like, what do you do?
So,
There is no-
so is anybody here willing to pen him?
No, not yet.
Well,
Nelly.
I had him.
Close.
I had him in the top 4. I'll pen him
Nah,
for
no.
top 4.
Top
They
Yeah, I
four.
can't see him
No
making
chance.
top 4. No.
And
on what I've seen, there are 4 definite 4 teams better than them.
I would.
They could possibly run 10th at the moment, even lower, the way that they're going.
Because here's the thing, they don't actually like Tapau's a fraction of what he used to be. Drake Travojevic is no longer in the top 8.
Just tackles.
He tackles, and yes, God bless him, he can tackle his ass off. He's no longer in the top 8 locks in the game.
Well, he's giving you probably the same as a Josh Jackson.
Yes,
Making
and
40
even then,
tackles
and Josh Jackson's looking like a millionaire all of a sudden. So, well,
So in terms of that, so
When
similar
Dylan
type-
Walker's coming off your bench and he's one of your best forwards, that's got to say something.
they have massive issues, and last year, yeah, Turbo changed it. To use your little litmus test, Gumpy, would Brad Parker make another first grade team?
well,
Maybe the Tigers, but
yeah,
but it's but apart from no Harper,
Maybe, but he started the season pretty poorly.
Saab, yeah, we know he can run fast, but
Well, Saab and Garrick are both very hit and miss.
yeah. So they got no hooker. Foreigners look fine. I've got no knock on their halves. They've got
He's
a
trying
great
his
halves
guts out.
combination.
Yeah.
They're both trying very hard, but what are they supposed to do? So everyone's a year older. They haven't changed. Yes, I'm absolutely penning him top 4, and I reckon I'm 2 weeks away. If dogs towel him up, I'm 2 weeks away from penning him.
Oh,
top
if the
8.
Bulldogs,
And
were
they can on
Manly
intensity
this
and
week,
effort.
I'd pen 'em.
Oh, and I will probably be tipping him. I'm going to go 3 Takiai because the Dally M votes for this game were farcical.
Me too.
3 Takiaho, 2 Tupanua, and I will give 1 to. Yeah, I can probably crowbar Sam Walker in there somewhere, but happy to be talked around that too. Anyone?
I had Butcher for 2.
Oh, of course, 2 to yeah, no, 2
I
to
thought Nat
2 to
Butcher
Butcher.
made a massive difference in the middle there, scored 2 tries and was carving up there
Got him.
at different
I'd have
times.
Nat Butcher in the points definitely in that match.
Takiaho, Butcher, Tupanua, 3, 2,
And then
1.
I had Tupanua, Teddy, or Ola Katau. I thought Ola Katau was best of Manly, but probably the Manly player doesn't deserve a point.
No.
So I'd split it between Teddy or Tupanua.